skin a cat. This was the place. This was the place that I was not a part of for a while, but came back to in middle school for confirmation instruction. And even though our family was not here during that time, this is the place where you wrapped your arms around our family at a very sad time when we lost a member in a car accident and my face had to be put back together. This congregation, family of God, never abandoned us during that time. We really had two congregations that are having their love around us. This is the place that I went to confirmation. It was confirmed by Pastor Bob Dasher because we were in the middle of like an interim, like today. We are in between Pastor Paul Bernsdorf and Pastor Swigert. And this is the place where eventually I married, and this was the place where my children, all four, were born while we were here, and 3 of the 4 were baptized. This is the place. This is the place we come to learn and to grow and to take the Word of God with us out into the world. And so today, I want to continue in the theme of Bob Dasher, for those of you who remember Pastor Dasher. And I think it was really a Lenten series that he did this, but I'm going to try this today. He preached right out there on the floor with everybody around. And so I'm going to give that a try. If you can't hear me, George is going to help me hook up there. But if you can't hear me, I will come back to the pulpit. But I want to be amongst you today as we talk about this unpacking of the gospel lesson today. So while you wait for me to get there from here, we're going to talk about conversations. So have a conversation with someone near you and ask them their highs and lows from this week. You don't have to share anything you don't want to share, but just have a conversation with someone so we can talk about how to have conversations well. Thank you.
What's the best part of the week for you? I don't know, girl. Just saying.
I thought dinner was pretty good yesterday.
Yes, it would.
That's what I'm going to go with. It's fun to make dinner.
All right, what did you learn? Did you learn something you didn't know, or you just got to chew on something you already talked about with this person this week? All right, conversation is very important for building relationships. And you sit with people and ask them, how was your day? My daughter Lydia was here today, and she recently commented with her dad and me that, some of her friends don't sit down with their families at dinner time. And they don't have conversation. They don't find out what was happening during the morning or the day, or they don't know about the highs and the lows that their families are experiencing. They don't learn how to problem solve because they don't talk about how the adults in their world maybe problem solved. And she was grateful. She was expressing gratitude. I once upon a time had a conversation on this very day with Jamie Rykerd. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I called him to tell him that our baby boy had been born. And at that time I said, I think the wedding is probably off. It was a great phone call, even though it was in the middle of the night. Well, what we want to think about today is those hard conversations. Those times when somebody wrongs you, and it's hard to approach the person and have that conversation. That's what our gospel is trying to help us wrap our brains around today. How to have the hard conversation. I've had hard conversations, had one just yesterday with people I love very, very much, who were telling me about that youth present really super busy in the world together. People that are supervisors are telling me I present too busy, I'm overdoing it, I need to slow down, and I keep trying. But my mom and dad, people of faith, right? It's a hard thing to do, but I welcomed their conversation. It was a hard conversation, but for me to keep doing it, overdoing it, I'm sinning again and again, and not trusting God to have that control and not to just let Him lead. and think that it always has to be up to Deanna to get her done, right? I appreciate that. These are dear friends. These are friends we've had lots of conversations together, and it's because of that strong relationship that I will again try to take more breaths, to slow down, to really take my time to sit on my swing, my what's my soul saying swing that Pop helped me set up, and to know how God is leading. So you have that hard conversation. I had hard conversations with students that were having disagreements at school, and then it would maybe lead to an altercation when I served as a school counselor. My favorite conflict that needed to be resolved was not my own, though. It was one of my mom's stories from teaching first grade, whenever a little girl said, "He smelled me." When somebody wrongs you, what do you do next? Well, the gospel today points out step by step. St. Paul gives you direction how to get her done. And I'll begin at verse 15. If your brother or sister sins against you, go and point out the fault when the two of you are alone. That's how you get started, right? That's how you get started. You don't do it in front of God and everybody. You don't put it on social media. You don't tell somebody that can't do anything about it. You go to the person. But that's hard. That's very hard. But God is calling us to love. And he says in Romans chapter 13, verse 8 today in our second reading, "Owe no one anything except to love one another, for the one who loves another has fulfilled the law." When we go to someone who we feel has wronged us, we do it with love in our heart. We do it to show where the boundaries are. Because it is then when we can be strong and we can grow the church and keep everyone in the fold, and we listen. We listen to one another. Now, according to a seminary guest speaker who wrote this great book, y'all remember this? This was how do you say it? Garrido? She said that when you have a conversation with somebody, there's the words that are going back and forth, but there is also the thought balloons that each of you have above your head that no one else can see. There's the past experiences each of you hold. And so if you can't have the conversation and take deep breaths, and be calm when you're having it, then it's not the time to go to that other person, right? So make sure you breathe. Everybody take a breath in right now with me. Big breath in and big breath out. Those of you who are at the sermon we did for Bold Women's Sermon Sunday, you remember big breath in and big breath out. And every time, remember you're breathing the Spirit, right? The breath of God, Yahweh. You got the power. You got the power of the resurrection right there. And you will have the confidence and courage to have the hard conversation before you. Now, what I think St. Paul misses for us today in 2023 is he tells us how to do it like after that first conversation doesn't fall. But how do you have that hard conversation? So I want to introduce you to a concept that's very simple. I've used it with people shorter than me, and I really think my mom saved it and put it on her wall when she was in a lesson I was doing with counseling because it's such a great idea. And it's called an iMessage or a bug and a wish. Anybody know this? Well, take out your little purple sheet, take out your little bug sheet, and I'm going to start with the bug and the wish idea. The first thing you have to do with this person that has wronged you, all right, the sin, after reflection, after breathing, after, thinking it over well, is you need to go to the person and you need to say, this bugs me, here is my problem. This is the problem. You don't know how many things that might fix right there. Somebody may have no clue. I know that there are many times I have not intentionally, hurt someone else's feelings or done a wrong thing or sinned against them. But if somebody brings it to your attention, you can then begin to work on it, right? The second part of the idea and the concept is what I wish would happen. All right? Maybe it's you need to talk it out together. Maybe it's you need some apologizing. Maybe it's needing to do some other type of problem solving, but you can't do that unless you are both together, having good conversation, building relationship. and not so much in the thought bubbles in your head, but in the words that are being shared together. And then somebody might say, oh, that's how my mama always did it. I'm sorry, I didn't know. You know, like you really can like connect with people when you have the conversation. The other thought is the heart talk piece of paper that's on purple that you have, and it gives you a little more detail. So that's the first grade version or kindergarten version, and here's for when you get like third, fourth, or fifth grade, right? And this is going to be that you tell people how you feel. And you really need to spend that time in reflection to figure out, I'm hurt, but what is it? I'm angry. I'm sad about this. I'm disappointed. You need to find the feeling, and you need to share that with someone and tell them the why. There's the problem, there's the bug, what bugs you. And then you need to say, please, or the wish. Please, would you give me more space? I need space. I can't visit and be with you right now. I'm below the line, right? I'm below the line and I need some time alone. All right, so that's what I want to leave you with today, is the idea that you have steps. The steps are given to us, but we do it with love, and that sin is real, right? And if you haven't had a hard conversation, you will. It's inevitable. Hard conversations are part of having conflict and problem solving. And in school, we had this neat tool that you laid out on the ground, and it was like steps that you took. You identified the problem. You stopped and you breathed. You identify the problem. You think about all the things that you can do to solve the problem during a reflection moment. And the next step might be that then you execute your plan, right? And that might be when you try the bug in the wish or the iMessage. And then you might evaluate and see how that was done. And then at the end, maybe you've solved the problem. But it was a neat little graphic, and you can actually start one person on one side that was having a conflict with another person, and you could kind of come together, and on that issue. So that's what we need to do. Little baby steps. Little baby steps. Once upon a time, I had a student that didn't want to go to school. Rylan didn't think it was as cool a good idea as it was the first day. But most people get it figured out by the second or third day, and I just grabbed their hands and said, you don't have, I love that. I don't want to. You don't have to want to. It's just what's next. Come on. I grab their hand. I'll be with you. I'll be with you. And that worked for most people. But Rylan still didn't want to go to school on the 32nd day of school. And it was hard to get that boy in the building. And believe it or not, we had to get in the building and then go back out of it again because he was in a portable. That's it. Rylan, do you think we can walk to that crack on the sidewalk together? Can the two of us make it that far together? What do you think? He'd hang on to me like for dear life. I'd hang on to him, and we'd step till we got to the crack. Rylan, there's a rock right there. Do you think we might can walk that? I'm telling you, it took a while, but we got to the portable. And he got better with more practice. And you will too with using your words and having and approaching those hard conversations with the love of God in your heart. Everybody say to yourselves right now or out loud, God is always with us. God is always with us. So we got to live like God is real. We got to live that love. We are the hands and the feet of the Lord. And we have to do what he's calling us to do in the way that we're designed to do it. Happy birthday, Jonah. Thank you, Faith Lutheran Church. May God bless you and keep you always and forever in every endeavor. Amen. We now will really sing the hymn of the day. So if you would like to stand, if you're able, you surely can. Thank you. Blessed Assurance, hymn 638.